Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Get ready for truth bombs, belly laughs, and the kind of accent that turns car into a two-syllable adventure. Here's your host, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHI Media Network. I hope you are doing well. It is the 14th of January 2026. If you're wondering why my screen looks weird, I will explain that in a moment. It is currently 7:27 a.m. in Tehran. There was no attack this evening, though most experts believe one is imminent. If you look over here at Flight Radar 24, Flight Radar 24, you can see that there is more and more traffic over Tehran. There was only a few planes up overnight. And now there's more and more air traffic now that it's daytime and it's safe. There is a lot of weird air traffic. You kind of wonder how much of it isn't evacuating people. The Pentagon Pizza Index, it was busy earlier. It's quiet now, except for Pizzato Pizza. Pizzato Pizza is very, 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 very busy. There it is. So I already got the question, why, pray tell, are you in phone mode, vertical mode? Well, I'll tell you. A little birdie said that they were doing some research and they found their last two shows that they were in phone mode. They got really, really good results with the Google algorithm on YouTube kicking it out to other people. So I figured I'd give it a shot. It's not YouTube being glitchy. It's actually me. It was a choice. I figured I'd give it a shot once. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, we'll deal with it. I know BZ is going to lose his absolute mind when he sees this in vertical mode. I'm not using StreamYard. I did this intentionally, folks. This was part of the plan to see if what I was told is true. Because as you lovely people who've liked and subscribed are getting us closer to 1,000, we're trying to expand and explore with new things and see what we can do to reach the milestones we're trying to get to. And I figured, why not? This wasn't a bad shot. If it doesn't work, it's only one show, right? No balls, no babies. You're going to give it a shot. So I did. So I already spoke to and about Iran, but I'm going to get caught up for the I love everybody in the chat right now. who's commenting, go back. Canada Heavy Hall said go back. Thanks, Canada Heavy Hall. I wish I could. So that was one of the things that I did not realize in this program is once you start it, you're just there. You're just there. And I figured I've spent this whole entire damn day, doing technology and stuff on the website and trying to just make it a little better. And I figured, why not give it one more shot? The best part is you could tell there was a spike here and there because all the crazy comments are starting to show up in chat. So something worked. And I can see that with the numbers in front of me. So we'll get into that later. Anyhow, over in Iran, like I said, it is morning. No attack happened overnight. The United States has called for a UN Security Council meeting. They haven't put it out officially, but that's what a lot of officials behind the curtain is saying. They're hoping to get it for tomorrow. And you start looking at the protest started on the 28th of December. The media immediately, well, it's economic pain. That's been economic pain in Iran for years, along with water, along with a whole bunch of other things that's problematic in Iran. And the Iranian people are just sick of it. Never mind the absolutely brutal regime. As we talk about ICE here and all this stuff and people getting so angry in Minnesota and Minneapolis, have no idea what it's like to actually live under an oppressive regime. And enforcing the laws of the land is not necessarily an oppressive regime. Insert all of the angry comments from all of the people who don't agree. So the last couple of days, it appears the Iranian government has done exactly what most of us thought they were going to do, and they started just killing people. It sucks. It's sad. And by the thousands, some estimates are up to 20,000 have died in the last couple of days. HRANA monitor says at least 25 to 2,600 were killed yesterday. I'm sorry, today, the 14th. 2,000 were killed yesterday. That was according to Reuters and the Iranian Human Rights Council. The internet is out. The media is out. They're cutting electricity out. This tells you the regime is scared. And this is different. I wrote my article on shimedia.com. This is different than other protests. This whole field has a difference. This whole protest, rather, has a different feel. It seems more motivated by those who are protesting, by those who are trying to hope for their freedoms. They've taken over police stations. Now, remember, unlike here, no matter what the liberals here tell you, the police stations there actively murdered people. You'd get beaten if you wore the wrong thing, if you were a female, internment camps, all the other stuff that you've heard about the Iranian government does. So as you're thinking about this, you have to remember that. Like I said, there's a big difference between ICE arresting illegals and what Iran does to its people. What's amazing to me is how few politicians have spoke up. Now, you had Lindsey Graham, who is a war hawk, admittedly. I'm not a humongous Lindsey Graham fan. Who is like, oh, we have to go in right now and bombs and blah, 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 blah. But by and large, the leftist politicians haven't said shit. Very, very few have spoke about it. And the ones that haven't exactly overly condemned it. But what's amazing to me is the amount of bleeding heart liberals who've said nothing about what's going on in Iran either. It's crazy. Like, they know, and here's the crux of it. They know if Iran goes, Hamas is done, Hezbollah is done, the Houthis in Yemen are done, because Iran gives them all of their weapons. That's where they get their weapons and funding from, is from Iran. And how does Iran get the money for that? Well, they trade oil to China, filthy, dirty oil. Same to Russia, illegally. North Korea, illegally. That's how they fund it. So if the Iranian regime falls, you now have a hit, which I talked about during the Venezuela thing. You now have a hit against Chinese oil. I think it's 20%. Russian oil and Russian drones. Because the drones that Russia's using, a majority of them are coming from Iran. Out of all the things that Iran sucks at, they apparently make attack drones really, really well. So now you're hurting Russia's war effort with the Ukraine, which I thought that was a good thing, right? We want that to end. So you're taking gas, oil, and weapons out of Russian hands if this regime falls, right? So I thought liberals wanted that. right? That would help free Ukraine. That would help end the war quicker. That's what they want. China, who's trying to take over Taiwan, another oppressive communist evil regime. China is. Oh, it's communist, it's socialist, it's so great. No. They murder people left and right. You don't hear about it because they actually have, unlike in this country, they don't actually have free speech. Everything is limited in China. What you see in China is what you are allowed to see in China. Remember that. Just like for the most part, Russia, definitely Iran, which you're not seeing anything right now because as O2AMT pointed out in chat, Starlink is blocked in Iran. They've blocked everything in Iran because too many videos are getting out and showing hundreds of thousands of people protesting. Oh, he likes my pita bread hot. Thank you. So all of these things would make for a better world, wouldn't it? First and foremost, Iran, if you actually got real leadership in there. Now, I know the Saudis are sniffing around in the UAE. It's kind of the devil you know situation. The talk about the Shah's kid, the crown prince coming in. It's going to come down to who the people there will allow to rule. And who will look, it's a Middle Eastern country. So if you think it's going to be the next USA or Canada, whatever, and they're just going to be so happy and no, it's going to always be a real tough place to be. And it's going to be always going to have problems. The other problem you're going to have is if the regime falls, all those terrorist groups that are focused on Israel right now and other places, they're going to turn on Iran for cutting off the dollars and cutting off the weapons if that happens. So there will be an influx of terrorism within Iran. You already have a couple of groups over in Iraq who are trying to go to Iran to put down the protest. And again, what liberals in this country don't seem to understand is there's a humongous difference between what's going on there and what's going on here. The fact that you can go out the street and protest. Now, tonight, and I'm going to talk about it after the break, there was another incident. Tragic, but the guy's all right for the most part. But you need that context. And what liberals don't seem to understand is there's a difference between I'm oppressed, but you get on your phone, you videotape, you dox people, you throw stones at cops, you do all this other shit. No, you're not oppressed. All right. Over there, if you speak against the administration, they come out with AK-7s and AK-47s and just start laying into the crowd. So now you look at the totality of everything in Iran, and you have to ask your question that needs to be answered, and I'm sure they already have their decision made. Does the U.S. get involved? And if so, how? Now, for our own betterment, I think it is the right thing to do, but on a very limited basis. No boots on the ground. We don't want to rebuild the country. Let the countries around that do that. And if that means that the UAE as Saudi takes over and we're kind of dealing with a diet Saudi or diet UAE, okay, that's a lot different. Not great, but a lot different than what it is now. They'll at least get their oil going again. I mean, Iran makes oil, but it's filthy and it's nasty and or produces gas and oil. And it's not done in a modern way like the UAE and Saudis do it. So you have that going. As far as who's going to step in. But you also look at the region itself. Saudi Arabia, through all of its issues, and I have my serious issues with the Saudis going back to 9/11, at least keeps things stable and nonviolent. UAE, very much the same way, right? It's not our country. It's not our hemisphere. But if you could settle down Iran, you hurt China, you hurt our enemies, North Korea, India, which I know India is not necessarily an enemy, but they buy oil from Iran. That's been proven. And then you hurt Russia and their war effort. So it is a win, in my opinion. But you have to go and look at how. Well, who knows if we have or we haven't yet, but you know cyber is going to be a big thing. If it's not already going on, it probably is, which is probably why they shut everything down. They probably shut everything down to try to limit the amount of attacks coming in on their infrastructure. We know they don't have an air defense because we took care of that along with Israel a couple months ago. And I know last Saturday, they did a air defense drill to show that they can still defend the homeland. They can't. They're porked. Everyone knows that. They have no air defense to speak of. So you could do the limited kinetic attacks. No boots on the ground, no Green Berets, no, I'm going to take them out, whatever. If other countries want to do that, great. If we want to put a path in for them to do that, fine. We do what we did before. We get our bombers up, we get our fighters to escort them. We lay waste to all of the military installations, and we come home. If you want to add, perhaps, that's an interesting buffoon of the week. Said evening all day. Anyone see the flight to Israel out of Newark that returned back? That's not what we're talking about. I hadn't seen that, but that's very interesting. I don't have time to look it up. If somebody else can and shoot me the info, that'd be great. And then, yeah, you look at Israel and you look at how many attacks could end in Israel. Because remember, October 7th, everything out of the north, out of Lebanon is Hezbollah. All that's funded by Iran. So you have to look at kinetic strikes, cyber attacks. Do we maybe start putting some equipment on the ground for the protesters? Why not? That could be an investment in our future, because if you can turn the corner in Iran and you can start to stabilize Iran, it will not be overnight. It's like Venezuela. It's going to take time. Any rational person understands that. But if you can start to make that approach, we're going to end up spending money, less money, I should say, in the defense of Israel and other places. Plus, maybe we can save money on intelligence, because, you know, our intelligence goes absolutely crazy in that region. If we could stabilize the Middle East, look, I said earlier, it's never going to be paradise. I don't know if Iran will ever be the Iran of the 60s and 70s, where it was a booming economy. People were free. I don't know if it'll be there. Maybe the Shah coming back will do that. There will always be infighting in Iran, just because you have a lot of groups of people and you have a lot of different religions, and that's just going to lead to that. But if you can stabilize that, you stabilize a large chunk of the world. And I think that's something that's worth absolutely tossing some missiles, doing some cyber work, and maybe some other support for the people. Not boots on the ground, not rebuilding nations. Yeah, it'll cost American tax dollars to do that, but how much do we save when we do that? So as I wrote in my article on shrmedia.com, yeah, I think we need to give a little push. This is one of those times. Look, Venezuela was kind of the same thing. When you're looking to stabilize things, sometimes you have to get the shitheads out of the way. And the Ayatollah, who, by the way, buffoon of the week said, never mind. Original reporting was that it returned to Newark. The update is that the flight was delayed out of departed out of Newark. Is a route to Tel Aviv. It is not canceled. Well, you know, you're the one who has the name buffoon in your name, Gene. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's on purpose. I'm just saying. The Ayatollah put out that a threat to Trump, saying we won't miss again. And he put up, I think, a picture from Butler to suggest that they were going to somehow get to President Trump. And that's how you know they're scared. Look, when he comes down to threats and they're doing what everybody, I'm a buffoon. I fully admit it, Phantom. When you come to down to threats and you're doing your air defense drills and all this stuff to try to show how in control you are and how strong you are when you're a strongman leader like that, and you're absolutely doing all of this crazy stuff that the Ayatollah has been doing for years, right around protests, it shows you they're scared. But I think this time's a little different. I think they see the motivation of the Iranian people. And that's different than what it has been in the past. And I do wish them well. I do hope for them. I do hope, like I said, I know it'll never be paradise, but maybe, just maybe, a woman there can get a sunburn or a suntan and not be beaten above the head with a gun stock for showing too much skin. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, there's another incident in Minneapolis that we're going to talk about. Getting to California a little bit later. I am watching the live news just in case I get it going on right here. Be back right after this.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SA.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Edge of Liberty Radio on the SHI Media Network. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Please do me a favor wherever you're watching from, like the episode, subscribe to the channel. We're making the push for 1,000. We would greatly appreciate your support. Also, check out shimedia.com. Did a huge overhaul today. We've updated a lot of stuff, so if you get a chance, please, shimedia.com. I know there's a contrast issue on a couple of the pages. I'm going to fix that when I get off the air, because, I started doing it at 7 this morning. I might as well keep going until midnight, right? So it's still icy up in Minneapolis. Been waiting all day to make that stupid joke. Just to sum up for those who haven't, I don't know, if you're living under a fucking rock or something. There was a shoot a couple days ago where Good died. There's been so much other video that has come out that has shown, yeah, you know what? He was standing in front of the car. People don't want to admit it. And the left isn't ever going to admit it. Ever, ever, ever. They're never going to admit it. Because they already have their predisposed mindset that ICE is bad, illegals are good. How dare you try to stop them? And anything that happens between now and then is the government's fault. It's not the fault of the people going out and instigating the government. It's not the fault of the individuals who are giving training on how to impede law enforcement. It's not the fault of the politicians who are encouraging it. We'll talk about that with Waltz here in a few minutes. No. It is the fault. It is the fault of the people who are enforcing the law passed by Congress. It's the fault of the people who are enforcing the law and their agency is approved by Congress. That's what the left wants to tell you. That's who they think the problem is. It's not the illegals. It's not the 10 plus 15 million illegals that are that were flooded in under Biden. It's not that. That's not a problem. It's not all the fraud that's going on up there, which I'll tell you right now, politically, right now, I'm sure the politicians there are happy that this place is out of control because it's hiding the fraud. Nobody's talking about the phone call with Ellison about how we promised the Somali business owners that the fraud charges wouldn't come, and then all of a sudden the next day he got a shitload of money in his donations. None of that. It's nobody else's fault but Trump and ICE. If you listen to the left, it comes down to accountability, and they have none. The incident tonight, and I'll show you. It'll be hard to see, I know, because hey, BZ's in the chat, welcome. I'm sure the other chatters will be happy to explain to you why I look so thin, BZ. I explained it early. You were late. Demerit for you. I posted this earlier, and I'll read it out for you. At 6:50 p.m. Central Time, federal law enforcement officers were conducting a traffic stop in Minneapolis of an illegal alien from Venezuela who was released into the country by Joe Biden in 2022. Stop for just a moment. I'm going to play the leftist for a second. ICE can't stop cars. They're not allowed to make vehicle stops. ICE don't make traffic stops. They don't. No, they can. They can. Go to shrmedia.com. I wrote an article about this, and it wasn't my opinion. No, I cited all the sources that allow them to do so. They legally can stop cars, stop that bullshit. In an attempt to evade arrest, the subject fled the scene in his vehicle and crashed into a parked car. He then fled on foot. This happened just a couple hours ago. Law enforcement officer caught up to the subject on foot and attempted to apprehend him, and the subject began to resist and violently assault the officer. While the suspect and law enforcement were in a struggle on the ground, two subjects came out of a nearby apartment, just like people have encouraged politicians and others. Two subjects came out of a nearby apartment and also attacked the law enforcement officer with a snow shovel and a broom handle. Ladies and gentlemen, you now have, if this is true, and this was from Homeland Security, you now have a situation where you have three individuals attacking an individual law enforcement officer and ICE agent. You have two weapons now. That officer is rightfully in fear of his life. As the officer was ambushed and attacked by the two individuals, the original suspect got loose and began striking the officer with the snow shovel as well. Fearing for his life and safety, as he was being ambushed by three individuals, the officer fired a defensive shot to defend his life. The initial subject, the illegal, who was here illegally, was shot in the leg. All three subjects ran back in the apartment and barricaded themselves inside. So now, the illegal Venezuelan wasn't even with the other two. He fled. When he crashed, he began to assault the officer. We now have a felony, most likely. These two came out, ambushed the cop, tried to help him, as the leftist lunatics have encouraged to do so. After the shot, they take him back into the house and shut the door. I believe that's called harboring a felon, or accessory after the fact is what we called it in Massachusetts. The attacked officer and the subject are both in the hospital. Both attackers are in custody. The attack, and it just goes on and on, puts out the federal law enforcement officers are facing a 1,300% increase in assaults, which we wrote on SHR Media not too long ago, as they put their lives on the line to arrest criminals and lawbreakers. Folks, this is the progressive left's wet dream. You have an ICE officer who's trying to stop somebody that they knew. They just randomly targeted him. He was illegal from Venezuela. They knew who he was. He flees because he probably knows if he gets to the right place or the right commotion, accessory after the fact, sorry. If he goes to the right place, to the right commotion, he's going to get help. Well, he crashed his car and he fucking got help. Two individuals came out of an apartment, attacked a cop, the ICE agent, whatever you want to call him, with weapons. With weapons. This was what, just around the same time that you and Tom Waltz say this?
Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration. Stop being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video. We've all seen what happened.
We all saw what happened. She hit a cop and got shot for it. But this sort of behavior, this sort of tactic, this sort of verbal judo that he is absolutely doing right here, ICE has to get out of Minneapolis. ICE has to get out of Minnesota. No, they don't. That is their job. Just like enforcement was done under Obama and under Biden and under all these other presidents. But they're doing it in such a manner that's so vicious because 10 to 15 million or more people were allowed in this country. And as BZ pointed out last night, a lot of these state prisons and local prisons, if they're quote unquote sanctuary cities, are not cooperating. So the violent ones who are in custody that they could be getting are being released, and then ICE has to go out and look for them. It makes the situation fucking worse. And you're shitting on the ICE agents who are actually doing what they're supposed to do, what the law says to do. It's insane to me. City of Minneapolis put out a tweet tonight. The city of Minneapolis demands ICE leaves the city and state immediately. We stand by our immigrant and refugee communities. Know that you have our full support. They left out a couple words there. They left out a couple words like illegal immigrants. And some of them might be refugees. But if they're on the list, they got to go. No different than if you have an active warrant, you got to go. You violate your parole, you got to go. Why are we protecting people who are not supposed to be here? I've said this 100 times. That doesn't mean they're bad people. We have a nation of laws. We have borders. Other immigrants have worked their ass off to fucking get into this country and do it the right way and legally. And then when they get here, as we're seeing in a lot of cities, including Minneapolis and Minnesota, by and large, some of them are committing massive amount of frauds and getting taxpayer dollars left and fucking right. Why? How did they become the good guys? Explain that to me. The answer is they haven't. And what you're seeing is the social media putting the algorithm in front of you. I don't think, now there's rioting going on in Minneapolis right now, a couple thousand people, as I'm watching the idiot Jacob Fraze flapping his gums and the pussy of a police chief they have is standing next to him just as a good lapdog would. Trump ran on... Thank you for being here. Trump won on deporting illegals. Mass deportations. We were told it was going to happen. We all said, yeah, that sounds good, and voted him in. And you can deny the election all you want, but here we are. That's what people wanted. Buffoon of the Week said, I sponsored a friend, came here illegally. It took years. Meanwhile, the people break the laws, make all the excuses, and get one over on us. Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, I think what morons don't understand is, you see, with USAID and all these other fraud programs where American taxpayer dollars would just be vomited out the door into other people's bank accounts, that money was going to all these special interest groups. And then that went away. And special interest groups and apparently Democratic donations that a lot of people have seen as well. And then all this fraud money, California is coming up too, because that investigation's underway, Ohio, some other places. A lot of that money, as we heard in the Ellison phone call, is going back to donations to the Democrats. if they lose both streams, of income, they're fucked financially, and they know it, which is why they're holding on to it for fucking dear life. It's all about the money. They are strippers on the pole, and all those supporters are sitting there getting lap dances from them, believing those politicians love them, and throwing fucking dollars. And right now, it appears that all the illegals are the strip club owners who are making all the money, because they're the ones who are making money, way more money than you and I are for the most part. Like I said, there's a ton of good legal immigrants. Love them. Great. Come on in. No problem. I don't have any problem with it. And the problem is, we're actually, for the first time, we're at a net loss in this country as far as immigration is concerned, which is wonderful. We need to be at that. We need to be very selective of who comes in. Very fucking selective. Do like we did in the 50s and 60s. You slow it way down so we know exactly who they are. And we want them here. And you pass all the criteria, boom. It's like getting into the Hall of Fame, baby. You're on the ballot. But we have to do it the right way. Because if we don't do it the fucking right way, then you have chaos. Chaos like we saw under the Biden administration. Chaos that now is costing this country billions, not just in the fraud, but all the extent on services. And the strippers on the pole, and I wrote this earlier, it's the same. All these politicians, that's all they are. They're whores. They're strippers, right? They're getting all their glitter all over these fucking lefty lunatics who are out here protesting, screaming, and throwing money at these politicians. It's all to fundraise. They're not going to fix shit. And if you think they are, they know they're in the wrong. They don't give a shit. They're so far past that because they're scared. Their money is drying up. So they're going to say whatever it is to tap that vein and keep that money coming in. Plain and simple. And they're going to tell you they love you, Democrat, leftist, lunatic, progressives. And guess what? You're just the ugly guy they're going to lie to because you keep giving them power and money. And that's what they exist on. They're using you. This whole anti-ICE, I wrote this on SHR Media too. We've seen this before under Obama. They needed a straw man to get people emotional and upset and not be logical. And that's what they got. They attacked cops, BLM. The cops are the straw man. It's easy because there's no single person. It's an entity. You can attack them by and large. You're not going after somebody specifically in order to fundraise. And they're doing the same thing with ICE right now. They've just regurgitated this in. It is the same fucking tactics. It's the same statements coming from new people. And just replace cops, police with ICE. Newsom's Garage. That's the strip joint. Is that the name of the strip joint that they're all dancing in? I have a wonderful, I don't know if I can. I'm not going to look for it right now. I only get 2 minutes left. But that's where we're at. The Democrats just keep playing out the same game. Because they're not original and they're not going to win. They're certainly not going to win on policies because their policies suck. Look at what happened under Biden. Drove the country into the fucking ground, or at least they were trying to, right? So they can't run on policies. They can only run on outrage. And you think about that. What does that say about their side? Logic, policy, what's actually right, living by our nation of laws. They're the insurrectionists because they want to undo all of that. These laws that we have get in their way. They want to destroy it. They want to destroy everything in this country. The fraud that they're protecting, billions of taxpayer money, they just want to absorb everything this country has built and turn it into the next new Venezuela is what it would end up being. Because socialism doesn't fucking work. It just doesn't work. So when they say, oh, you're evil, you're mad. No. We're trying to preserve what this country was built to be. We're trying to preserve our Constitution. We're trying to preserve our way of life. You're the insurrectionists. You're the invading force. You're the insurgents who are trying to disrupt and destroy all of that and replace this country with what would absolutely be a shithole if you all had your way. You don't think so because you don't understand how economy works. You don't understand that you can't just give fucking everything away and everybody still has something. It doesn't work that way. It never has, and it never fucking will. I gotta take a break. Look, do me a favor. Please like and subscribe. I know there's a whole bunch of new viewers who are popping in tonight. Please like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. There's more than just me on this outlet. There's 3 other great hosts and another guy who shows up occasionally who all bring great content. If you want to get this awesome 250th shirt, I know with this little lens, you go to 7armors.com. It's not my company. It's just a great shirt, and I love it. And it was gifted to me, and I think you should have one. So go to 7armors.com as well. I will be back right after this.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the EST.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHI Media Network. Before I went to break, which is why I played the commercial, listening post and chat said that perhaps my accent made it hard to understand 7hours.com. Perhaps. That's fair. So I played the commercial. I figured now you can't, there's no question, right? They saw it. My accent cannot be blamed for this shit. God, I'm so sick of it. I'm just kidding. I really don't care. I look at it this way. If the only thing you're focused on is my accent, I'm doing okay. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about earlier, we're talking about fraud and how I'm sure on some level the Democrats are thankful that the fraud isn't the focus right now in Minnesota. And I think that's huge. And that's something that we can't lose sight of. That fraud investigation is continuing and needs to continue. But that's not the only one, because we go to the state of California. Now, look, I saw a report today. I didn't have a chance to run it down, but it essentially said only about 25% of the fire aid money from the fires last year went to the victims of the fire. The rest of it went to NGOs, social media influencers, all this other stuff to promote fire aid and talk about what a great job Newsom was doing in the rebuilding and yada, yada, yada. And I know there was a press conference from Minnesota. I didn't carry it because I already know what they're saying. ICE is bad. ICE is bad. Oh my God, ICE is bad. Repeat. So you had that going on in California, which that came from the House committee. I forget which House committee released that today. And essentially said, hey, all that money you gave to fire aid, most of it went to people who made money, who got paid to talk about fire aid, and the people who actually deserved it and needed it, the ones who have lost their house because the state and local ordinances went through the roof and made it almost impossible to rebuild because it'd be so fucking expensive. Insurance won't cover it. Those people who should have got the money, the whole reason what's his name's running for mayor now. Yeah. They didn't get it because once again, the Democrats were involved. Trump administration said last week that it is withholding federal funding tied to programs support needy families, quote unquote, in domestic and democratic states, including California, citing fraud concerns require extra documentation to access funds. Extra documentation, not completely shut off. In other words, they just want proof. Can you blame anybody? Look, remove government and insert bank. Spencer Pratt for mayor. That's who it was. I couldn't think of it. Remove taxpayer dollars just for a second. And instead of taxpayer dollars getting thrown out the door, let's pretend you own a bank. And people keep coming in and your lead loan officer is just hand out loans left and right. And they're all fraudulent backgrounds. You can't get money back from them. They're going to places you don't know. They're probably, who knows what they're supporting? Drug dealing, terrorism. You don't know because the person that's supposed to be doing it, your loan officer, is not properly vetting it. And then you turn around and say, hey, before you sign another loan, you have to meet this criteria. Before you give out more money, we need you to meet this criteria. Because if you don't, we're not going to release the funds. That's what the government's saying right now. So before they all go out of control in mainstream media, they stopped the needy people needed this and that. No, they're not stopped. It's just got extra scrutiny. Given what's going on in Minneapolis, kind of makes sense. I think Home on the Range is the name. In the chat said, this is AI. Dude, if this was AI, man, I'll tell you right now, I'd be a hell of a lot better looking than I really am. It's not just California. It's California, New York, Colorado, Illinois, and Minnesota, as you knew, that they've withheld money. They've all filed lawsuits to HHS. Reuters reported the White House said it's creating a new fraud-focused division inside the DOJ that President Trump has selected a new Assistant Attorney General to focus on. Yeah. Listen and post. If I was AI, I could also use the word, or I could also use the letter A. You're 100% right. I could. Yeah. When you, as any executive would do, have a problem where all of a sudden you're losing money left and right, you're going to say, maybe I should put somebody in charge of that. Maybe, just fucking maybe. We should slow things down and look at it a little bit. DOJ announced that 556 million false claims involving Kaiser Permanente alone over Medicare Advantage risk adjustment practices, showing active large-scale federal fraud tied to California-based entities. Kaiser Permanente, for people who aren't in California, is only one of the biggest, if not the biggest, hospital group in the state. It's an HMO. But this isn't the first time we've heard about this in California, but in with Medicare in general, where the organizations were submitting for reimbursements for stuff that they never needed. So you have patient A who has Medicaid or whatever the secondary rider is that the government pays for. And they're saying, this person got all of this treatment. You need to reimburse us, Medicaid, Medicare. And the government's writing the check because that's what it does with Medicaid and Medicare, like all the illegals we're getting. And now they're finding out that a lot of those procedures didn't happen. Yeah, Maine and Massachusetts are going to get some huge fraudsters as well. I know Massachusetts and Maine both have active cases that's going on, and I'm sure there are going to be more. Ohio is the focus of the daycare fraud, as well as Washington State. Yep. It's now, look, if you don't understand criminality and you don't understand how this works, and even with an organization like Kaiser, where that bottom line is important, they turn around and once they find something that works, they just keep doing it over and over and over. And for a long time, the federal government just looked the other way. They just didn't give a shit. They just kept vomiting taxpayer dollars at these bills and weren't questioning shit. And now they're all freaking out because it's being questioned. It should have been scrutinized from the beginning. This program never should have got this out of control, especially Medicaid. But yes, as well as like BZ said in the chat, the daycare reimbursements, No Child Left Behind, right? And all the other, and I think, wasn't that Biden who expanded that? I think it was Biden that expanded that. I could be wrong on that. The child credit, child care credit. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. And this just goes to show you how the federal government has operated for so long, which is why DOGE is important, which is why cutting out all of these other agencies and minimizing government is so important. Because when you have a beast that is just out of control, and in this case, it's giving money away, then you have a problem. And until you're not going to be able to just go in and pull the beast down, you're going to chop it away piece by piece until you get to the root of the problem. Fraud in this country is clearly a humongous fucking problem. 556 million for false claims just at Kaiser. You have so many other large hospital groups in California and nationwide. This is just one. I don't know what other ones are there, but you can't tell me it's not going on, because just like with the fraud, with the child care fraud in Ohio and Minnesota, once one actor figures out how to game the system, they start talking and sharing and spreading. And now everybody is doing it. And it happens like crazy. We saw that idea when it came during the COVID shutdowns with the PPP money. And then even with the unemployment money, all of that stuff, how much of it went overseas? And it's not pennies, folks. We're $34-something trillion in debt. This is all serious shit. And this needs to be addressed. Fraud investigation in California has begun, but public reports widely note that Trump did not provide a detailed scope, agency, and targets. Yeah, so what? So fucking what? What's he going to say? These are all the companies that we're looking at, so start burning all your paperwork? No, he's not going to say that. You don't do that in investigation. I'm sure there are plenty of companies that are getting letters to hold all their documentation for the last couple of years, at least. It's not a joke. And yeah. And what absolutely drives me insane is how many people on the left will defend this. They will sit there and tell you it's okay, America can afford it. It's okay, these people are just trying to make a living. That's not making a living. And this isn't a person. Kaiser is not a person. It's an entity. Right? This has to show you how all the check valves were just taken off the system entirely. And in so many different fucking places. It's scary. It's frightening. That's your money. That's my money. They say, oh, Social Security can't sustain itself. Well, maybe if we weren't spending it. As of right now, 38.6 trillion on the national debt clock. Thank you, O2AMT. Getting back to some of the other chats, Milepost, BZ, buffoon, you laugh. Kaiser is known throughout the county coroners in the state as a source of medical misadventures. Listening post says, I can't wait to go back to my home planet. Someday that call will come. Oh, man. Which Kaiser had more bodies, Permanente or Soze? Yeah, it's, when you look at this, you have to put all this together with the illegal immigration, with the USAID, with all the Doge cuts, with all the other fraud that we're finding. And look, this isn't imaginary shit. This is somebody finally looked at the books. This isn't even it's hard to put the cases together, but figuring out your bleeding money as a nation isn't hard to do. But it was ignored. Intentionally, maybe. Laziness, probably. Combination of both, sure. We have Venezuela oil, so that should pay itself. We don't have Venezuela oil. Venezuela has Venezuela oil. There may be some benefits to us down the line, but that wasn't the only reason we did what we did with Venezuela. I know people want to think that, but a lot of it had to do with Maduro's a piece of shit. 100,000 people a year die drug overdoses. And it also sent a message to a lot of bad players, and it kept China, Russia, and Iran out of there. You have to go more than just the headline on that. It is all about long-term stability. So we will see what comes out of California. I know there was a reporter, I can't think of her name, and I should because I follow her and I interact with her on X. There's a reporter out of San Diego that already opened up a few cans of worms at childcare centers down there. That's come to the forefront of the investigation as well. And all of this is getting serious when death threats are starting to come in, because I'll tell you right now. Oh, I lost it. No, maybe I didn't. Hold on. Nope. All right. I don't have time to look for it. Sorry, folks. Dylan was putting that she's receiving threats as well, and others will be receiving threats. And that's exactly how this goes. Once people get caught, once people get cornered is when they start lashing out. It's always been that way. And it's no different now than it was before. You got to remember that. As soon as people are cornered is when they start lashing out. The fraud in Minnesota start lashing out. Grabbing people who are here illegally, they start lashing out. Fraud in California, they're probably going to start lashing out. And this is what happens when you cannot run on policy. This is what happens when you can't run on honesty. You just lash out like children, petulant children. And this is something that it's not over. And look, when Trump was inaugurated this time around, many of us said, it's not going to be a quick game. It's not going to be a quick fix. There's going to be a lot of discomfort, a lot of it coming from the tariffs, but a lot of it coming from other places. And it's 100% what it is right now. This is the uncomfortable part with fixing shit. And if you've ever gone into something that's a complete mess as an executive, as a manager, and you're tasked with actually fixing it, you have to absolutely get messy. Some people have to go. Some things need to be streamlined. Some things need to be pulled back. It's just the way it is. It's just part of the system. And the system was so fucking broken intentionally that money was absolutely just being pissed out the door left and right. And that's something that we need to fix as a country, because as O2 AMT said in chat, 38.6 trillion. We can't be affording to just throw money out the door. And what's even more ridiculous is that you have politicians who will defend all of this to the hilt, and they'll hide behind children. You're hurting the children. They'll hide behind the sick. You're hurting the sick. You'll hide behind all of that. And like I said earlier, they're up on the pole. They're shaking their ass. They're being the good little strippers that they are, just full of perfume. And as I like to call them, stripper herpes, the glitter. And they're rubbing it all over these leftists that support them, telling them, you're so pretty. I love you. You're just amazing. I can't wait to see you next week. Gosh, I wish I could go out with you. Meanwhile, you just keep giving them money. You just keep giving them power. You're the ugly guy in the strip club if you were out there supporting all of this. And I'll tell you something right now. When those politicians get off shift and they take their heels off and they get back into their car and they go with their actual boyfriend to go away for the weekend, yeah, you're going to be sitting at home in mom's basement wondering why she didn't love you. That's it for the Edge of Liberty. Check me out every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11, right here on the SHI Media Network. You can also find BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Mission Ready Men, Tuesday, Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. River Common Sense, Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 on the East Coast. And then when he gets around to it, when he feels like it, and he has 45,000 shows lined up and he's just putting it all together, Lost Wander every other Sunday on the SHR Media YouTube channel. Please check out Seven Armors. If you want to get this shirt or some other awesome shirts, Earl and the boy and the girl over there, as I say, Earl and the boys, Cool and the gang over there. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Has some awesome products, so make sure you check them out. That's it for me. I will see you on Monday. Have a good week.